Have you ever poured your heart and soul into something, convinced this was your moment, only to have the door slammed shut in your face? It's a feeling that can leave you breathless, hollowed out. Tonight, we're talking about Caleb, and a story that might feel painfully familiar to many of you. It wasn't just another rejection for Caleb, it was the crushing weight of a pattern. He sat in his tiny apartment, the air thick with the ghost of yesterday's coffee, staring at the email on his phone. The words were polite, clinical, and absolutely devastating. While your skills are impressive, we've decided to move forward with a candidate whose experience aligns more closely with our immediate needs. It's a corporate haiku we've all learned to dread, isn't it? It translates to, "You're good, but not good enough. Not for us. Not right now." Each word felt like a tiny hammer chipping away at his hope. He slumped over the counter, the silence of his apartment amplifying the loud thud of his disappointment. This job wasn't just a job. It was supposed to be the one. A mid-level technician role at a company called Apex Logistics. It represented stability, a steady paycheck, good benefits, a real escape route from the gig-to-gig scramble of freelance delivery work. It was a chance to finally breathe, to build a life instead of just surviving it. He had needed this job, truly needed it. Have you ever felt that desperation? That feeling that everything is riding on one single opportunity? It's like standing at the finish line, heart pounding, only to be told the race was canceled moments before you could cross. Just the day before, he had been sitting across from Mr. Hollis, the operations manager. The interview room smelled of old coffee and printer toner, a scent Caleb now associated with failure. Hollis was a sturdy, weary-looking man who seemed to carry the weight of the entire logistics chain on his shoulders. Caleb had been a bundle of nerves, his palms sweating, but he nailed the technical questions. He knew his stuff inside and out. He could troubleshoot a network glitch with his eyes closed. He felt a flicker of confidence. But then came the other questions, the soft ones. The ones that weren't about schematics or coding, but about him. Tell me about a time you had to handle a difficult colleague. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? These questions always felt like traps, designed to measure something intangible, something he always seemed to lack. Caleb, trying to project an image of a team player, a future leader, fumbled. He talked about his freelance work, hoping it showed initiative and self-reliance. But as he spoke, he saw a flicker of something in Hollis's eyes. Was it disinterest? Pity? He couldn't be sure. The connection he thought he was building felt like it was dissolving into static. Walking out of that interview, he had replayed every word, every handshake, every awkward pause. He'd oscillated between a cautious optimism and a familiar gut-wrenching dread. He'd borrowed a suit from his neighbor Saul, a kind old man who always had a word of encouragement. Now the thought of returning it felt like admitting defeat not just to himself but to Saul too. The borrowed suit, the hours of prep, the carefully crafted answers, it all felt like a performance for an empty theater. As he sat there, the rejection email burning on his screen, a different memory surfaced. It was from the interview. As he was leaving, a young woman was being escorted in. She was sharp, confident, carrying a sleek leather portfolio. She laughed at something the receptionist said, a bright, easy sound that filled the sterile lobby. She looked like she belonged there. Caleb, in his slightly too big borrowed suit, had felt like an imposter. He now pictured her getting the congratulatory call, her laughter echoing in the same office where his hopes had just been quietly extinguished. Was she the more closely aligned candidate? The thought was a fresh stab of pain. This feeling of being perpetually on the outside looking in, it's a heavy burden to carry. It starts to warp how you see yourself. You begin to internalize the rejection. It's not just that you weren't the right fit for the job. You start to believe you aren't the right fit for anything. The world seems to be moving forward. People are getting promotions, buying houses, celebrating successes, and you're stuck in the same place, running on a treadmill of applications and interviews, going nowhere. Caleb pushed the phone away, the screen going dark. He couldn't look at it anymore. He stood up and walked to the window, looking down at the street below. Cars streamed by, people walked with purpose, each of them seemingly on their way to somewhere important, somewhere they belonged. He felt invisible, a ghost in his own life. The dream of a stable future, of simply being okay, felt more distant than ever. He wasn't just jobless, he felt hopeless. A profound sense of exhaustion washed over him, deeper than any physical tiredness. It was the exhaustion of fighting a battle you feel you are destined to lose. But here's the thing about hitting what feels like rock bottom. Sometimes that hard surface is the very thing you need to push off from. In that moment of complete despair, a tiny, defiant spark flickered within Caleb. Was this it? Was he just going to let this endless cycle of rejection define him? Let the polite dismissals of strangers dictate his worth? He thought about Saul, his neighbor. Saul had been a carpenter his whole life. His hands were gnarled and scarred, but they had built beautiful things. Saul had once told him, "They can say no to your job application, kid. But they can't say no to the work of your hands. They can't take away what you can build." Caleb looked at his own hands. They were good hands. They understood machines. They could fix things. The corporate world might not see their value, but the value was there nonetheless. He walked back to the counter, not to the phone, but to a dusty toolbox in the corner of his kitchen. He opened it. Inside were wires, circuits, and half-finished projects, little gadgets he tinkered with in his spare time. Things he built not for a job, but for the sheer joy of creating. He picked up a small, unfinished drone. An idea, wild and uncertain, began to form in his mind. What if he stopped asking for a seat at someone else's table? What if he started building his own? The path wasn't clear, and the fear of failure was immense. But for the first time in a long time, it was overshadowed by a different feeling, a glimmer of possibility. This story isn't just about rejection. It's about what we do in the moments after. Do we let the closed doors convince us we're unworthy, or do we start looking for a wall we can knock down ourselves? Caleb's journey is far from over, and it won't be easy. But he's at a turning point, the kind of turning point many of us face. It's the moment we decide that our value is undetermined by a yes or no in an email, but by the fire we keep alive inside us. If you've ever felt like Caleb, know that you are not alone. Your worth is not defined by your job title or the approval of others. It's in your skills, your passions, your resilience. Keep building, keep creating, keep believing in the work of your own hands. The world needs what you have to offer, even if it doesn't know it yet. Thank you so much for joining me tonight and sharing this space. If this story resonated with you, I'd be so grateful if you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more stories like this. Drop a comment below and let me know what's something you're building for yourself. I'd love to hear about it. Until next time, take care and keep moving forward.